Welcome, friends, to the fourth day of How to Break Addictions and to spare yourself the five leading causes of death and to add funds. Well, health is true wealth, but you also save a lot of money if you're not spending it for $12 a pack or carton of cigarettes or alcohol and other things that could be very costly, not only to your pocketbook but to your health and life itself. Life is made out of time, and basically, I made a decision when I was a teenager to change my diet. I grew up my dad was a doctor. I got shots about every other winter. I wasn't in the greatest of health, but when I changed my diet in high school, I've lived well without any prescriptions except one. When I was on a trip and got intestinal flu, didn't want to stop at every gas station for the toilet, so I wrote myself a prescription. But basically, great health at 83, and I wouldn't trade it for all the pills that Pfizer and Merck want to give me, and it's a murky deal, okay? You don't see the full facts because medical care is a leading cause of death from adverse drug reactions. Drugs are basically poisons. This is a statement from Drill's textbook of pharmacology that in the drug action always represents artificial interference with the natural functioning of the organism. In the widest sense of the word, every drug is by definition a poison. Pharmacology and toxicology are one, and the art of medicine is to use these poisons beneficially. Well, the truth be told, adverse drug reactions have proven that you cannot know who's going to die and who's not. Former wife had a bladder infection, took Cipro, a antibiotic that's commonly prescribed. It was not my favorite, but bottom line, cured her infection in 3 days, but months later had serious problems with a rash and no platelets in the blood, referred to a hematologist who did a bone marrow in the hospital, took out her spleen, treated her with high steroids and transfusions till she died of a stroke. And I remarried a woman who, from a Christian singles dating site, whose former husband died of the same antibiotic. We think, oh, that's rare. Not at all, but you don't hear about it from the lying media and the lying CDC, which has never reported medical care in their top 10 lists in the past 25 years, even though in 1998 it was the fourth to sixth leading cause of death, according to the Journal of American Medical Association, when 106,000 people died in hospitals from these reactions. And 2 years later, a Western journal reported 106,000 in 1998, 199,000 in outpatients outside the hospitals. Put them together, in and out, is 305 in medical care, adverse drug reactions, number three cause of death. And then one more time, and this was on the mainstream media, on evening TV news, that the death rates increased 2.7-fold and serious illness 2.6-fold from these adverse drug reactions. And the CDC never reported in their top list. Heart disease, they say, is number one. Baloney. Yeah. And by the way, your heart will do well if you just get rid of all the addictions and problems and eat well. I'm, I, I have a teacher a heart surgeon who helped other surgical residents learn heart surgery and vascular surgery till he was 95. Okay, he died at 104. I have another teacher who I saw him. He sent me a Christmas card at 95 with a big tree down, and he was holding the chainsaw. It's good to be alive and well in the golden years of life when they turn brown so fast for some people, and it's largely what we put in our mouth. And so we're dealing with that this day on this withdrawal from addictions, and the little thing, new start, nutrition, exercise, water. We're talking about nutrition now because it is so key. In fact, I want to tell you about one study at my medical school or university. They did an interesting study with giving rats a choice of water or alcohol to drink. And on a good laboratory chow that was nutritious for the rats, they chose water mostly. But when they changed the diet to a poor teenage diet, they started drinking more alcohol and more alcohol. And if they added coffee and 11 spices, the alcohol consumption soared. Okay, well, I thought, wow, what is that? And but then they changed the diet again back to the nutritious diet without the caffeine, without the spices, nutritious. The alcohol consumption dropped off again. So if you want to thirst for alcohol, do all the junky stuff. Think of like TV as junk food for the mind. Okay, you don't want to build your mind with all the fiction and stuff. You want facts. You want to learn what is true about life. And I'm seeing that the best-selling book of all time, historically, is the Bible. And on the first couple pages of the Bible, you hear it's about plant-based diet. Whatever grows out of the ground. I heard a cardiologist say that if it grows out of the ground, it's fine. If it's packaged and if it's not growing out of the ground, might be a problem for cholesterol, high-fat diet, things like that. We love those foods. I grew up frying my own hamburgers and eggs and finishing off a half gallon of ice cream at least once a week, but not good. Basically, I was not in the greatest health, and I'm much better today at 83 with good immunity. And by the way, with good immunity, not sure what you really need beyond that. I would say eat well, live well, get exercise. Tomorrow we'll be talking about that as lung exercises and things you can do to help restore your lungs. But right now we're talking about diet and plant-based. I made the choice to change in high school and have lived without sickness or disease for about 70 some years since that choice. 70 years. Um, what else can I say? The idea is that choices make us thirst for alcohol. Even caffeine is also a big choice because it creates a need to calm our nerves with a smoke. If we're smoking, very difficult. In fact, um, Dr. Pavlov, Russian scientist, famous, said that coffee is bad habit glue. It glues our bad habits together, and it favors an addiction to alcohol and to tobacco as well. And we said yesterday that caffeine can cause coffee, as reported in the New England Journal of Medicine, 1981, around March 11, high link and correlation to cancer of the pancreas, which is the fourth cancer cause of death. Lung cancer being number one cause of cancer, breast cancer number two, colon cancer number three, pancreatic cancer, um, prostate is also in there around five. But if you live well, I think uh, we shouldn't. We were not intended really to seek medical care on any kind of regular basis because it is not medical care is not health care. It's when I took internal medicine, it was the diagnosis and treatment of disease. Had nothing to do with healthy habits and how we can live well. It's really about how you can treat them with which drug after you make a diagnosis and what the symptoms are and the blood tests and the x-rays and things that you would do to detect or determine that diagnosis. So anyway, long story short, live well, and during this stop smoking series of 5 days, minimize the eating situation. Let your body detox. Use fruit juices, vegetables. Those are the protective foods that nutritionists understand. It's not good to, beyond this, when you quit. I was taught, for example, that in the poor countries where people live in developing areas, they don't have money for a beefsteak or even necessarily milk or eggs. They might not have chickens, but they were taught. I was taught that one handful of beans or peas and 2 handfuls of whole grain, whether it's brown rice, whole wheat toast, for example. I loved it when I was for quite a few years, but I've developed an allergy with too much wheat. I just eating. If I didn't have 2 sandwiches a day, I didn't feel filled up. But I ended up getting too much muscle tension headaches, and even a neurologist that I saw didn't know. I said, "What's the cause of my headache? Anything I eat or drink?" He shook his head. He said that would be very rare for my kind of headache. Medical science is not the greatest on understanding how foods can affect us. And as illustrated by that teacher in the medical school where I was on the campus, I was teaching in a school of public health, but I went over to see this fellow. I liked him, but he didn't know. It was only later when I left the university and was in practice with 5 other doctors. One was an allergist, and people drove hundreds of miles to see this guy. I said one day, "How many people with headaches can you help?" "Oh," he said, "about 9 out of 10. I said, "Test me." And he did, and I would not have guessed that I was allergic to wheat, because when I ate it, I didn't get the headache. But it's on withdrawal, just like smoking. You feel fine when you feel like you need a smoke. You smoke, you don't get sick, you feel better. But on withdrawal, if you try to quit, that's when you pay the price. And that's how my headaches came. And on Monday to Friday, I would take sandwiches. On the weekend, eat other foods, and I would get a headache every Monday morning. Couldn't figure it out because I'd been getting exercise and doing all the right things. We're pretty stupid sometimes, but the light dawns gradually. Do these things we're talking about. Eat a plant-based diet, and if you really are successful and you're feeling better, hey, stay with it maybe, okay? Just a suggestion, or eat lightly of animal-based foods. Milk and eggs, product dairy can be okay. Cheese is not always the best choice. Cottage cheese might be better if you're going to choose cheeses. But basically, the disease factor in animals is high because they're not always treated right, and the beef steaks passing in Omaha on a beltway where a cattle carcass gets about 6 seconds. Every 6 seconds, another carcass passes. How can you determine whether there's disease or not? You get a stamp, U.S. government inspected. Baloney. Okay, the government is lying to us about the safety, etc. And I just say, hey, let me recommend a website, Health, Happiness, and Destiny. And if you get the book that I have here, that's the name of the book, by the way, Health, Happiness, and Destiny. But if you spell out "and" when you go to the website, health, no comma, happiness, destiny, and destiny.com. That's health, happiness, and spell out A-N-D destiny.com. You can get this book for a half the price probably that you would pay for a carton of cigarettes, and it will teach you and help you to live better with disease-free, etc. So God bless you. Oh, and by the way, when you do that, you get a link to the best diet, the diet that I recommend now. It's I didn't do the video, but it's a high value. In fact, Dr. Esselstyn of the Cleveland Clinic is on it, showing how you can reverse most disease without prescription drugs. So that's it. Thank you for being with us. God bless you. And we'll see us again for tomorrow night, the final night of this How to Break the Addictions. And break them all. Don't just dabble at it and cut down. That's bad news. Do it cold turkey. Look at that cigarette as the whole habit. It's not just one cigarette. It's, do I really want to smoke the rest of my life? Then cut it out, okay? And remember what we said. If somebody offered you $1,000,000 to quit, you'd find a way to get it done. It's important. It's worth more than $1 million, in my opinion. Our bodies are God's temple. He wants to dwell in us, and by His Spirit, if we're open to truth and we live well, I think so. But hey, do the best you can and ask God for help. He'll help you. He'll meet you more than halfway, in my opinion. Thank you for seeing it. We'll see you tomorrow night.